Hey there, my lovely enchanters. Welcome back to my channel, Enchanted Journal Kit. Today, we're diving into another fun junk journal project using just my digital kits from the shop. You can snag all the images I'm using right over on my Etsy shop, also called Enchanted Journal Kit. I've got all the links for you in the description, so check that out. Oh, and big shout out to my sweet little sister for helping me out with the crafting today. While we get into this tutorial, I'll be sharing a little made-up story for you all. If you have any questions about sizes or papers, just drop a comment below, alright? Okay, let's not waste any more time, let's jump into our story. The story starts with the year Raya lost her mother. October arrived quietly, like a guest no one wanted to leave. The church bazaar filled the parish hall, a scene stitched together from the town's memories, quilts folded like soft sighs, jars of pickles standing neatly, and a plate of cookies that looked beautiful but didn't taste like much. Raya's brother, Theo, nudged their father toward a metal chair by the cider urn, whispering that their father needed normal. Their father held a paper cup, cradling it as if it could warm more than just his hands. At the last table, past the costume pearls and crocheted coasters, sat a book that seemed to have appeared from nowhere. Its black cover, secured with bronze corners, held a velvet rose that was too dark. Beneath a clouded glass dome, a skull looked over the room, patient, like a librarian who had heard every excuse. $2, said the woman behind the table. Her name tag read Mrs. Bell, and her eyes were deep, like strong tea. Or free, if you promise to write something true. Raya offered a small smile, the kind people wear when they're on shaky ground. Since when do books come with dares? Since people stopped telling each other the truth? Mrs. Bell replied, sliding a ledger toward her. Raya paid. Promises feel light until they weigh heavy. She tucked the book under her arm, glancing back at Theo and their father, one with raised eyebrows, the other wearing a smile that didn't quite fit, and stepped into a fog that clung to her ankles like a lingering thought. At home, October pressed its cheek against the windows. The air was thick with the scent of damp leaves and the last of her mother's roses. Raya cleared a spot on the old desk and placed the ledger down. It opened with a dry, contented sound. On the left page, a child-sized ghost floated over marigolds, the kind that could be cut from a worn sheet of paper. On the right, the skull again, this time with a crack that resembled a river map. Pressed leaves and black roses framed both images. In the margin, ink seemed to rise from nowhere, as if the page were breathing, waiting for her to share a truth. The room listened like an old soul, caught between curiosity and indifference, as if deciding whether to lend a hand or just let the darkness settle. Suddenly, a page turned, almost of its own accord. 12 jack-o'-lanterns loomed, their grins sharp and sinister, like a class photo taken at a gathering of the wicked. In the corner, tied delicately with black lace, a brass key lay waiting. It felt warm against Raya's palm, like a coin freshly dropped from a pocket, a hint of secrets held tight. The key whispered memories of the Weston house beyond the new road, her mother's childhood haunt. Each October, her mother would walk there, leaving little offerings on the porch, a crumpled ticket stub, a dried petal, and once, the button from Raya's first winter coat. Some grief needs a box, she'd say softly. Some doors require a password. And then there was that Halloween when the quarry fence swayed, bending to a wind that no one else felt. Raya and her twin, Ellie, played hide and seek, crossing the invisible line they'd been warned not to breach. One hid too well, and the other counted too quickly. Afterward, the town wrapped itself in a cloak of sorrow, then practicality, and finally, an eerie silence. The family mirrored that quiet, especially her mother. Another page turned. A tiny girl in a soot-blue dress, her hat too large for her head, tilted it with the brave facade only children can muster. Opposite her, a tall door stood adorned with a clock instead of a knocker, its hands frozen just shy of midnight. New letters emerged, neat as a teacher's scrawl, sending a chill down Raya's spine. A chill crept up Raya's spine as she slammed the book shut, its pages whispering secrets she wasn't ready to hear. She brewed a cup of tea that sat untouched, a ghost of warmth in a cold room, then scrubbed a mug that was never really dirty to begin with. Grief, she thought, is like a storm. It leaves you cleaning up the shards of your heart. When she finally dared to open the ledger again, it had carried on without her, like a train speeding away into the night. Amber bottles glimmered, oozing honey light that felt too sweet for this eerie hour. Leaves pressed against the glass, clinging like forgotten memories. A small frog lounged in the gutter of the page, unimpressed by the drama unfolding around him. He blinked once, a silent vote of approval perhaps. Then came an owl, its round eyes fixed and unblinking, exuding a calm that was almost unsettling. A web appeared, intricate and sharp, turning her fear into something mathematical, something she could almost grasp. A bat swooped by, cradling a copper moon as if it were a secret to keep. And there, halfway through, stood a horseman. His hat pulled low, his coat billowing like a shadow, a patient steed beneath him. The moon perched on his shoulder, a coin of light that whispered caution. Next to him, in stark simplicity, were 3 chilling words: "Pay the toll." As the town clock creaked its way to 11:30, Raya pulled on her mother's old coat, still faintly smelling of rose soap. The key nestled in her pocket felt like it had always belonged there, a silent companion. The marigolds by the fence, once bright, now looked like they were fading, their edges brown and weary like little saints stubbornly holding on. The old road began where the new one lost its nerve. After rain, pale stones jutted through the asphalt like ribs, a reminder of forgotten paths. Everyone claimed they never walked it, yet here she was, alone beneath hedges that had outlived their names. Somewhere, a dog barked, startled by her presence, then fell silent as if it remembered better days. The fence she and Ellie once slipped through had been patched long ago, but the hillside still bore the shape of their escape, like a scar that refused to fade. The Weston house loomed at the edge of maps where details faded into uncertainty. The porches slouched, the windows seemed to hold their breath, and the front step recalled lighter feet. Years back, Theo had dared her to slap the porch post, but she hadn't. Fear had taught her to stay hungry, always wanting but never reaching. She raised her hand and knocked 12 times, steady like counting stitches. Then she knocked once more, a pulse that refused to die. The 13th knock echoed inside, a delayed response that felt eerie, as if her presence stirred something forgotten. The latch turned without hesitation. No gust of cold air rushed out, no frantic wings fluttered to life, just the musty scent of old polish and rain mingling in the air and the ticking of a clock she hadn't wound. The hallway looked like those places that belonged to families long before you arrived. Varnished silence, the wallpaper whispering secrets. Where portraits might have hung, empty frames held remnants, train stubs, a singed lace strip, a ribbon the color of a school uniform, and a sprig of rosemary labeled "Remember," penned in her mother's bold hand. At the end of the hall, a black rose rested under glass, its label reading, "For those who dare to remember." "Mom?" Raya called out, her voice barely a whisper, swallowed by the heavy silence that draped over the house like a thick fog. Hope, she realized, had a way of lurking in the shadows. Often unnoticed, yet so profoundly present. The house stood stoic, its secrets tightly sealed. In the dim light of the front room, a ledger lay on a small table, looking almost like a faithful dog waiting for its owner to return. Its pages, yellowed and fragile, seemed to hold stories of their own. 12 keys dangled from a ribbon of black lace, each one unique, some gleaming with the promise of unlocking the past, others dull and forgotten. One key, twisted and gnarled, seemed to whisper of a time long gone, as if it had grown from the very earth itself. Yet, amidst this peculiar collection, a haunting absence lingered, a space where a 13th key should have hung, a void that chilled Raya to her core. The air thickened, a shiver crawling down her spine as she felt the weight of unseen eyes watching her. "Mum?" She tried again, her heart pounding, the shadows around her deepening. The house remained silent, but something stirred within its walls, a gentle rustle like a sigh, beckoning her closer to the dark truths that lay hidden in the corners of her memory. "Right," whispered a voice cutting through the stillness of the dim room. It wasn't loud or theatrical, more like the frustrated hiss of steam escaping from a kettle, impatient for attention. The air felt thick, heavy with an unspoken tension, as if the shadows themselves were holding their breath, waiting for something to unfold. "Before it dries," it continued, a chill creeping into the words, each syllable dripping with urgency. The darkness around Raya seemed to shift, the very walls pulsing with an eerie life of their own, urging her to heed the call. She could feel the weight of unseen eyes watching, waiting for her response. The flickering candlelight cast grotesque shapes, dancing in a macabre waltz as she hesitated. What would she write? What horrors lurked just beyond the edge of her imagination? The voice grew softer, yet more insistent, wrapping around her mind like a vine tightening its grip. "Right before it dries," it murmured, and Raya knew then that something was stirring in the depths of the night, eager to spill forth onto the page. She took a breath, heart pounding, as she picked up the pen, ready to confront whatever darkness awaited her. What dries? Raya's own voice sounded barefoot. The pen rested exactly where her mother would have left it, as if waiting for a hand to grasp it. Raya began to write her story, each word like a careful repayment of a long-held debt. The bustling bazaar echoed in her mind, Mrs. Bell's tea-dark eyes staring back at her. The key warmed in her pocket, a small reminder of secrets kept. The old road, cracked and worn, snaked through the newness that surrounded her. There were pieces she never dared to share. Ellie's name, whispered in the shadows, the fence that bent under the weight of memories. The endless counting of moments lost, and the water that came to take but never gave back. How towns seemed to cradle your grief, tucking it away neatly when they grew weary of your sorrow. When she penned the last sentence, the ink held its breath, then fell silent. The house sighed, its walls easing into a stillness that felt heavy with what had been left unsaid. On the mantel, a frog sat perched, plucked from the pages of her memories, its gaze steady, like a watcher who had seen it all and remained unfazed by the chaos of life. By the window, a photograph in a cracked frame captured two girls in paper crowns, marigolds draped around their ankles, their heads leaning together with the innocent grace of twins. On the back, a neat script penned in pencil read, Raya and Eleanor Weston, Halloween. Weston, her mother's maiden name, not a mere coincidence, but a ledger entry etched in the fabric of their lives, a chilling reminder of the past that clung like mist in the air, refusing to let go. Raya? A voice sliced through the heavy air, sending a shiver down her spine. It was her father, stepping into the dim light, rain trickling down his hair, his coat dark and damp. He moved like he was racing against a clock for a service that nobody really wanted to acknowledge. I followed you, he murmured, his voice trembling just a bit. I couldn't sit still tonight, not with everything lurking. He reached out to the old ledger, fingers brushing against it like it was something sacred. Your mother brought me here the year we tied the knot, he recalled, his gaze distant. She said this house holds onto what the town has forgotten. If you ignore your ghosts, they'll come back to haunt you, charging you for the memories you let slip away. His eyes landed on a faded photograph and he winced, as if struck by a sudden chill. We adopted you from your mother's sister after the accident, he said, voice thick with unspoken pain. Your aunt disappeared, but Ruth returned, and we tried to stitch together a family from the remnants. We searched and searched until it hollowed us out, but Ellie was never found. His eyes shimmered with unshed tears. Your mom didn't know how to break it to you without shattering. The child still hiding inside you. Every October, she'd come here to write something, to keep the darkness from rewriting our story. The air thickened with unsaid words, the shadows of their past whispering around them, as if the house itself held its breath, waiting. Raya felt a fire brewing inside her, a storm of anger at how her life had been tucked away like an old letter. Sealed and forgotten, she longed for her mother to be there, perched in that familiar chair, one leg folded under her, whispering that she was braver than she believed. Instead, in her moment of despair, she reached for her father's sleeve, because sometimes, when words fail, a simple touch can speak volumes. Then came the sound, soft yet unsettling, like a ghostly finger tapping against glass. 12 gentle beats echoed through the room, each one sending shivers down her spine. And just as she thought it was over, there came one more, delayed, precise, as if the darkness itself was counting down to something she couldn't quite grasp. In that moment, the air grew heavy, the shadows deepened, and she felt an icy breath whispering secrets only the night could understand. A small girl stood in the doorway, about 7, dressed wrong for any shop in town. Mud at the hem, hair a little wild, not pale, not see-through. So real the moment made room around her. Ellie, Raya said, the name a door she had never possessed the key for until now. Ellie smiled like she'd practiced on a long road. I've been trying to find the house, she said. Her voice sounded like shallow water over stones. It kept moving because we kept moving. But the keys are in a row now. The page is written. I followed the knocks. Their father wept quietly, like a man taught to keep his emotions locked away. Raya didn't remember moving across the room. She just found her arms wrapping around a sister she hadn't seen in 2 decades. Ellie felt so light, her warmth enveloping Raya like a long-lost memory. She smelled of marigolds and rain, a hint of old trunks filled with forgotten letters. What did it cost? Raya whispered into Ellie's hair, the question pressing on her heart. The book had warned of a price. She needed to understand what they had sacrificed. Ellie reached out, her fingers brushing against the ledger, an ancient thing heavy with secrets. "The truth," she murmured. "Mum said someone had to say it. Tonight that was you." They made their way home together, a trio caught in a strange dance, like actors who had forgotten their lines but felt the rhythm return. In the kitchen, their father set 3 mugs on the table, his movements automatic, not even glancing at the shelves. Ellie cradled her mug, treating it like a sacred lesson learned too late. That night, as father and daughter curled up, beneath the fraying old Afghan, 2 weary heads resting, at the same tired angle, Raya couldn't resist. She opened the ledger again, the pages whispering secrets that chilled her to the bone. The first page felt different, eerie even. The marigold ghost wasn't alone anymore. A tiny hand, delicate and pale, reached from the shadows, slipping a rusty brass key beneath the edge of the pumpkin page. It was a chilling sight, like a whisper in the dark. The words below had transformed into a haunting reminder, for mother who watched over the past, for the daughter who paid the price. But it didn't end there. Beneath Raya's final words, a neat line appeared, inked in a style that wasn't hers. "Thank you for coming back. Eat." The air thickened with a sense of foreboding. The shadows deepened, and an unsettling chill crept up the spine, as if the very walls were breathing with memories long forgotten. The morning in the town whispered secrets, a strange blend of warmth and unease. People glanced sideways at the family, their heads tilting in curiosity, seeking answers that felt just out of reach. Those who needed metaphors found them hidden in the shadows, while the ones longing for miracles held their breath, cradling hope quietly. When Raya stepped back into the parish hall to return the $2, no one remembered Mrs. Bell. Her family left after the war. One murmured, eyes darting. "No, it was before," countered another, uncertainty lacing their tone. A third chimed in, "You know how memories twist," the conversation fading like a ghostly echo. Fresh marigolds lay untouched on the church steps, vibrant yet lonely, waiting for a hand that never came. At home, the ledger found a sunlit spot by the window, the light dancing with a hint of melancholy. Sometimes it opened by itself, revealing tales of horsemen and a copper moon. The air thick with anticipation, as if someone were counting heartbeats. Occasionally, a gentle tapping resonated from within the cover, 12 soft knocks, followed by a lingering 13th. Raya learned to brace herself for that last, late one. Theo dropped by after work, his voice trailing off. "This isn't how the world works," before shifting to help. Ellie with her spelling, the weight of his words lost. Their father chuckled at the wrong moments while cooking. The kitchen still a stranger to joy. As night draped over them, the 3 wandered the old road, its presence almost demanding. A pull they couldn't resist. Ellie gathered small treasures, a ticket stub, a pressed leaf, a Valiant button, stashing them under the western porch rail. A ritual passed down from her mother, a secret box for grief, a hidden key to forgotten doors. The black rose in the hall faded, its once stern hue giving way to the weary pink of a dress long saved for a good day. The edges, still charred, bore witness to a fire that had chosen its path carefully. Yet the label remained unchanged, whispering tales of what once was, lingering like a shadow in the dim light. At first, it felt like a warning whisper in the dark. Then it transformed into a promise wrapped in shadows. Raya still found herself dreaming of water sometimes. In the gentler dreams, the lake lay still, like a calm face hiding secrets beneath its surface. With the town sprawled beneath it, untouched and hauntingly familiar, Ellie stood at the edge, counting softly, each number a breath reaching 13. Raya responded, perfectly timed, as if they were 2 souls in sync. No more hiding. They met at the door like old friends who finally found their keys. Then, a week later, a small envelope appeared. No stamp. Just their family names scrawled in her mother's handwriting. Inside was a pressed petal and a single line that sent shivers down her spine. Keep the keeping, count your knocks, tell the truth. No signature needed. Some roads are meant for letters that must find their way home. On another chilly October night, the wind rattled the eaves, and the moon glowed like a coin you shouldn't dare spend. The ledger lay heavy, waiting. The house listened, content yet restless, as if it held a secret yet to be revealed. When the knock came, 12 steady beats, then one more, precise and haunting. Raya stood up and opened the door without a second thought, not because she expected a ghost, but because people lose their way more easily than they realize. And sometimes, finding home is just about keeping a clean record, a page that knows them well. What you keep keeps you. Raya felt the weight of that truth now, realizing that the act of keeping was a two-way street. In that delicate balance, fear etched in ink, love sprawling larger, the night softened around them, welcoming them into its embrace. All right, folks, that was a fun little story time, yeah? Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. So I'm gonna bounce for now, but before I head out, I've got a quick favor to ask you all. If you enjoy watching my crafting tutorials, do me a solid and hit that subscribe button. Also, give my videos a thumbs up, drop a comment, and share them with your loved ones, okay? Oh, and don't forget to check out my digital shop. All the DigiKits are super affordable and ready for you. We're just a small business trying to grow on Etsy, and your support means the world to us. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye!